Okay, so I mean, when we read the Bible, like the whole Bible seems to be about like how there's a point to life, and then we come to Ecclesiastes, and it seems like like it's saying there isn't, like there's just no point. So I mean, Ecclesiastes 2 here we have meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. And just throughout this entire book, we seem to just reiterate over and over how there's just no point to life. You know, either you're unhappy, and then you get sick, you die, and everything sucks, or you're happy, you die, and everything sucks. And like either way, everything sucks. It's just everything's terrible, all the time. And I'm not sure what
how
the one
you
is. Yeah, like
come to that.
Yeah, or like what's the point of this? You know, I've always had a lot of trouble with Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Ecclesiastes definitely has a huge amount of discussion about what's wrong with life and how are we going to come to terms with life. And he struggles with this angst of what can I do that is going to make my life worth something. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon talks about how I tried building buildings, I tried planting beautiful gardens, I tried booze, I tried women, I tried reading, I tried learning, I tried jokes and stupidity and just having a good time. And like you said, he talks about the meaninglessness of it all, the vanity of it all. He talks about coming to a balance. You know, in Ecclesiastes 3, Solomon talks about there's a time for everything. There's a season for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to cry and a time to shut up. And you know, you have this dichotomy of life. Of should I go all in for wisdom or should I go all in for foolishness? And then in Ecclesiastes 3, Solomon talks about the balance that we should find in life. That we shouldn't go all out towards one extreme or the other, but the Bible as a whole, like you said, definitely talks about the meaning of life and how there's purpose to life and how there's vision. But then in Ecclesiastes, Solomon's struggling with, so now what do we do? Now what do we do? Now how do we spend our time?
And I mean, it talks about he says there's there's wise men everywhere that will be happy to tell you about like wisdom and stuff, but he goes and he talks to them and he's like, these people don't really have, I mean, what does their wisdom profit them? I mean, they die, they're unhappy, you know, and so I mean, yeah, it seems like he's dismissing the wisdom of everyone else.
Right.
So first of all, I'm not particularly familiar with this, as I've told you guys off camera. I haven't read this book too extensively, but in just in chapter 1, he talks. First of all, he doesn't even refer to him as Solomon. It said they call him the teacher.
Yeah, the philosopher.
The philosophy, the teacher.
And I should qualify that traditionally it's been
assumed that's the wisdom
that
of Solomon
wrote the book.
Solomon, the reason for that is because Solomon is the iconic wise person of the Bible.
Yeah.
And in chapter 1, he's talking about wisdom and how wisdom is meaningless and doesn't get you anything.
Yeah.
I should probably just pop up and read it.
Yeah, for sure. We have it right here.
I mean, I have it in not King James.
Yeah, do it.
I, the teacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem. Pretty good evidence, I know.
Yeah.
I applied my mind to study and to explore by wisdom all that there is done under the heavens. What a heavy burden God has laid on mankind. I have seen all the things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, and chasing after the wind. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted.
He's quoting that. But yeah.
Right. I said to myself, look, I have increased in wisdom more than anyone who has been ruled over Jerusalem before me. Probably him. Probably Solomon. I have experienced much of the wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom, and also to the madness and folly. But I have learned this too is a chasing after the wind. And then he quotes, for with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more wisdom, the more grief. And it sounds to me like he's going further than that and saying, not only is wisdom meaningless, but the more wisdom you have, the worse it is.
Because then you understand.
Then you understand it's meaningless. And I had a discussion with a guy up in Eureka when I was living there. He think he was high at the time. Wait, he wasn't.
Okay.
This was a unique thing. And we were having this discussion about our worldviews, and his worldview was completely depressing. He's a really smart guy, very, very smart. And over talking to him, he was just really depressed this day, because we talked about this worldview, and it was just the most depressing worldview in the world. And it was identical to mine, with the slight difference that I believe in God, and he doesn't.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty big difference.
Right. But
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the point is, like, it was identical. Like, we think about everything the same, except that I think that God is there too. Like, if you die and there's nothing.
No, hold on. Are you saying that Solomon doesn't believe in God? Because that's a little.
Well, what I'm wondering about this is what perspective is he writing this from? Like I said, I'm not familiar with Ecclesiastes.
That's true.
Is he writing this from the perspective of pure wisdom, and he's trying to explain and show people that the world is depressing and everything's depressing, so you have to find a point to something, a true gem of value, it's not found in wisdom, and it's not found in those different areas. Is there a section later on that talks about?
At the end, he says, he says, it's one page back. I want to start in. Here we are, 12. So he says, he gets to the end, and he says, okay, this is the end of chapter 11. He says, rejoice, O young man, in thy youth, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youth, and walk in the ways of thine heart, and in the sight of thine eyes, but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. Therefore remove sorrow from thy heart, and put away evil from your flesh, for childhood and youth are vanity. Both mean useless. It was useless in the other one.
Meaningless.
Yeah. And he says, remember now thy creator in the days of your youth. You want me to see this one? Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
Before the days of trouble come, and the years of approach, when you will say, I find no pleasure in them, before the sun and light and the moon and stars grow dark, because you're old and you can't see, and the clouds return after the rain, when the keepers of the house tremble and the strong men stoop, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those looking through the windows grow dim, when the doors to the street are closed and the sound of grinding fades, when people rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint, people are afraid of heights and the dangers in the street, when the almond tree blossoms and the grasshopper drags itself along and desire is no longer stirred, then people go to their eternal home and mourners go about the streets. Remember him before the silver cord is severed and the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring and the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns from the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. But then he says, useless, says the teacher, everything is meaningless. And then we have the conclusion of the matter, or whatever. This is the wrapping up part that you're talking about. And he says, not only was the teacher wise, but he also imparted knowledge to the people.
Is this a different writer?
I mean, it seems like.
Sounds like a different writer to me.
It suddenly just switches from the philosopher to just some other dude in the middle of verse 12, in chapter 12.
I mean, previously, just a second ago, I felt like that supported what I was saying. Because
it was the end. It
was talking about how when you get to the point where you're going to die, enjoy your youth while you have it, but then you lose that too. And then enjoy your old times, then you lose that too. And then you lose your sight. You can't see the stars. I mean, I totally read that differently now that, you described it differently than I saw it, but previously I was totally imagining like the...
You're dead?
No, I was totally imagining like destruction, like
maybe, I was thinking old,
the old version, better. And then you're gonna lose that too. But before you die, remember the one who made, remember God, basically, because it was talking about.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, and so
and then he ends with.
I think that supports what
you were saying.
What I was saying
that's
is the world is, your youth is worthless, your wisdom's worthless, your age is worthless,
Everything's worthless.
Your vigor's gonna go away. Remember God. And he doesn't really say why, but I mean, it's there.
Well, I think
so.
But then
we got the conclusion.
We get to the conclusion,
yeah.
which is just like this other guy, I guess. It says, not only teaches the why, but he imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. The words of the wise are like goads. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails, given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them, like these words right here. Of making many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body. Now all has been heard, here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. So, alright, cool. I guess. I mean, the thing is, like, that's... Yeah, go ahead.
I think with a lot of the wisdom literature, you see the struggle of people coming to terms with life.
Yeah.
And you see how much of a struggle it is to come to terms with life. Mm-hmm. And you have this huge discussion, and then you have 2 verses of, okay, fear God, obey the commandments.
You're good.
You're going to be judged, so make sure you're obedient.
And then you're done.
But then you have...
What is this? Yeah.
But I really appreciate the struggle that it took to get to that conclusion.
Right.
And I don't think Solomon really articulates why we should fear God so much as he ends with those 2 commandments. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely agree those seem to come out of nowhere. That does not seem to be coming from the rest of that book.
Right.
I would agree with that.
You know, it's like this one massive rope-a-dope. You think I'm going this way, you think I'm going this way, you think I'm going this way for 2 hours, and then in the last second, Solomon goes, okay, obey God. But...
That's how a lot of wise arguments go, especially in, like, debates. It's really funny.
Right.
Sorry, off topic. Apologies.
But what I really appreciate with this is kind of saying it's okay to struggle. Because I, the preacher, struggled. I, the author of this book of the Bible, struggled to come to this point of faith. To come to this point of belief. And it's still a struggle to come to terms with all the things that we go through. It's so easy to see how meaningless it all appears to be in the wisdom under the sun.
Wisdom of man or whatever.
It's so easy to feel that way. Yet, we should avoid extremes, we should seek balance, and, you know, we shouldn't be even overly righteous. Another phrase that I believe Solomon uses, I know the phrase is in the book.
Yeah, it's fine.
There's a little dispute about the authorship. But he does come to that conclusion of, okay, trust God. But I think the main theme of the book is the journey of struggle that is okay to have in the life of faith. And that's been one of my main takeaways over the years, that all this struggle, all of this back and forth that I go through in my daily life is something that the biblical authors themselves went through. And so I shouldn't be freaked out about having it myself.
Makes sense.